Welcome to the Veterans in Politics radio show. My name is Monty Levy. I am sitting in today for Steve Sanson, who is not here. Also, you'll notice if you're watching, and this is videotaped, which I'm not used to. I've done the show before, and it was at a prior station and was not videotaped, so I was surprised, to say the least, that I would be on video today. You will notice next to me is an empty seat. This is where my co-host should be. However, said co-host did not show up, so I'm going to be winging this alone. This is Veterans in Politics, and we are mid-campaign season. Steve Sanson is running for Assembly. He's also conducting endorsement interviews from the Veterans in Politics. So all of that is going on today. And so that being said, Steve Sanson is not here. Hopefully he'll be back next week. So I want to talk a little bit before we bring our guests on. We do have two guests today. We have Amy Groves, who is a candidate for Nevada Assembly District 29. And we also have Stephen St. John, who is involved with the Las Vegas Mayor's Faith Initiative Council for the Homeless. So we're going to bring them on in just a few minutes. Before we get started, you might notice my voice is a little scratchy. It is so windy out. This wind has been killing me, and if you have allergies or even if you don't have allergies, just stepping out in the wind is going to make you sneeze and dusty, and I was up all night coughing, and so if I start coughing, please excuse me, but the wind is just a killer out there. So as I said, Steve is currently doing some campaign stuff as well as the endorsement interviews. The endorsement interviews are being conducted at Rhythm Kitchen. They are open to the public, and I know they'll be going on at least the next few weekends on Saturdays and Sundays. Steve does send out information with regard to the candidates that will be there. So if you have an interest in getting to know your candidates, what can you do besides listening to this show, besides looking online at candidate websites, which are often self-serving? You can go and you can watch the interviews being conducted at the Rhythm Kitchen and get to know the candidates that are running in each of the districts. There's several candidates. There's all the Assembly districts are up, several of the state Senate seats, U.S. Congress is up. We've got a U.S. Senate seat up. We've got a lot of things going on. So you could also, if you are not able to make it to Rhythm Kitchen, you can find all the prior interviews online. And you can watch those if you want to get to know a particular candidate. And I was actually interested in one of the races. I tried to go on and watch one of the Assembly District interviews that I was particularly interested in. And for some reason, I couldn't get through it. It was just the most horrendous interviews, and I couldn't even listen. And it was 89, I believe, is the district. Also, with me today is George Carson. He is our sound guy. He's going to maybe step in and give us a few words since I'm here solo. But I tried to watch this one interview, and it's unfortunate that, the bylaws are written the way they are. And unfortunately, if you're not able to make the specific interview time, you're not going to get to be heard, or you're not eligible for the endorsement. And unfortunately, oftentimes, the best candidate in the race is the one that, for whatever reason, just couldn't make it that day. So it's unfortunate that Veterans in Politics can't endorse someone who's not there for whatever reason or doesn't have a makeup. We don't have any makeup times, but that's written in the bylaws, so that's not able to be changed. But that was one particularly gruesome video to try to watch. We have a few minutes before we bring in our guests. So aside from the wind and the endorsement interviews, George, do you have any rants that you would like to talk about?
We're talking political, right?
Oh, it could be politics. It could be anything. You want to talk about like online dating? Because that really sucks.
Online dating. Oh,
online
don't get me
dating
started
sucks.
on that one.
Have you ever done it?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a long time ago, I did Plenty of Fish. And, I was fishy, all right. I got out of that right away. And,
I'm on Plenty of Fish. And
you are?
Yeah. I need to just delete it because you meet the most horrendous people. People think that because they're unemployed and they like to play poker, they put themselves out there like, I'm a professional poker player. And then you go out with them and the bill comes and they can't even pay the bill. You know, that's the kind of people that I meet on Plenty of Fish. So
I guess maybe they think because maybe they won a couple times, they made money that makes them professionals now.
they got aces. They got pocket aces one time and took a pot.
Right, all of a sudden they're professionals.
Well, I'm unemployed, so and I play poker, so I guess that's me. That means that's what I do for a living.
It's kind of weird though. I just reopened my account today on Plenty of Fish.
Did you?
After all this time, I thought, I seen something come up and I thought, all right, I'll go in and check it out again. I went back in, I'm looking, I'm like, wow, I think I'm going to reclose it again.
Yeah, I open it, I close it, I open it, I close it. But then, I realized that if you block someone on there, like if you have a particular stalker, if you block someone and you take your profile down and then you put it back up, all of a sudden they're not blocked anymore. Oh. So your stalker's back.
Oh, yeah. They don't tell you that, do they?
No, they don't. So I'm trying to figure out the ins and outs of online dating. If anyone has any advice for me, please contact me and let me know, because it's just a nightmare out there.
Yeah. Did you know that 43% of Vegas is single? I mean, it's 53%. Sorry, 53% of Vegas are single people.
Really?
Yeah, the statistics are that high.
Well, I believe in this room it's 100%. So there you go.
100% in this room, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a very big surprise. I really was not expecting the video, so I'm watching myself on there, and I'm like, oh, why? Why didn't Steve tell me that I was going to be videoed? So yeah, Steve, thanks for putting me on the spot here and volunteering me to co-host the show. Co-host, obviously, in quotes, because my co-host is
not there.
This is my empty chair next to me. So, do we have anything else before we get started and get our guests in? Do you have anything else you want to talk about, George?
Just like you said earlier, I see some of the candidates that come down that could actually be in the running and be a good candidate. They just either don't make it or they show up late, and it makes it look bad for them. If you're going to do that, and you've got something to bring to this city, make sure you're there on time. Make sure that you make that presence. We could really use you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I campaigned before I ran in 2014. A lot of times there's so many events stacked on top of each other that you just can't make it
in time.
Right. I mean, I know there was a candidate early on this year that was her actual wedding day. So she's getting married in Costa Rica, so she couldn't make it to the endorsements. And obviously the wedding was planned first.
Right.
And then, for whatever reason, as I indicated, that AD9 race, who I think, and obviously this is my opinion, and my opinion is not going to be shared with everyone. And Veterans in Politics did endorse in that race. I was not a part of that panel. But, my personal preference in that race is the one individual that just, he couldn't be there that day. But he knows that he's got my support, and will always have my support. And with that being said, I think we're going to head out to our first commercial break. We're going to get our guests in. We're going to start with Stephen St. John, and we will be right back.
Okay, clear.
And I'm a marriage and family therapist. I recently opened my own practice under the name of Faith Individual and Family Counseling in the area of Summerlin. I have been practicing family therapy for 14 years, and I work well with individuals, children, teens, couples, and most of all, families. I have experience in a variety of areas, which include family conflict, communication issues, grief, anxiety, depression, anger issues, addiction, adjustment to life changes, trauma, and most forms of mood disorder. The agency work I have done has given me the experience to work with all levels of issues from severe to mild. I believe in change and positive outcome. If you are interested to begin change, you can reach me at 702-370-4244 or HANUSA@cs.com. Thank you.
Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services have been serving Nevada. Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services, the reliable option for your legal and tax matters. The original do-it-yourself legal source store with paralegals, registered document preparers, and enrolled agents to assist you when you need it. Need help getting divorced? starting your business, or just filing your taxes, Nevada Legal Forms is there for you. Nevada Legal Forms has over 1,000 legal forms and do-yourself kits for all your everyday matters. Nevada Legal Forms, the best place to start. Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services is not a law office or have attorneys on staff and cannot give legal advice.
Nevada Legal Forms, Charleston and Valley View. Call 702-870-0977 or online at nevadalegalforms.com.
Hi, my name's Annette Levy. Did you know that we usually elect judges based solely on name recognition? So here goes. My name's Annette Levy. My name's Annette Levy. My name's Annette Levy. Now, for those of you who might want to know a little more, I have 29 years legal experience, 15 years arbitrator, 11 years judge pro tem. I'm ethical. I'm experienced. I want to be your district court judge in Department 20. And by the way, my name's Annette Levy.
Paid for by the Committee to Elect Annette Levy. If you'd like to know more, visit her website at electannette.com.
Paul Patta Law is a proud sponsor of Veterans in Politics. Attorney Paul Patta, a former federal prosecutor, is ready to fight for you. If you've been injured in a car accident, call Paul. Been a victim of a medical malpractice at the VA? Call Paul. Suffered a slip and fall? You better call Paul. Paul Patta Law, 702-366-1888. That's 702-366-1888. Or check us out on the web at paulpadda.com. That's paulpatta.com. You fought for our country, now let us fight for you at Paul Patta Law.
We are back. Welcome back to the Veterans in Politics radio show. My name again is Monty Levy, and with me is our wonderful sound guy, George Carson, who might pipe in every now and then since I'm abandoned here. And welcome to the show, our two guests. We have Amy Groves, who is a candidate for Nevada Assembly District 29, and Stephen St. John with the Las Vegas Mayor's Faith Initiative Council for the Homeless. So welcome to the show. We are actually going to start this segment, and we're going to be talking to Stephen St. John. And then after the next commercial break, we will be talking to Amy. So Stephen, I would like to give you a few minutes to introduce yourself, tell us what you're doing, and what brings you on the show today.
Okay. Actually, I'm a chaplain, and Chaplain Stephen St. John. What I do is work with a chaplaincy to Nevada, and then also I work on my own ministry where I go out and work with the homeless and also the homeless vets. And basically, I don't have a church that I belong to as much as that everybody is our congregation. So I work with, as I said, I work with the homeless and also work with the vets. And the areas that I do cover is like Main Street, Owen Street, Boulder Highway, Fremont. And so what I try to do mainly is to comfort those who are homeless and try to provide them. One, I have what's called an information sheet. And I think we have a camera here, but it was amazing to me when I first went out that a lot of the homeless didn't know what resources are available for them. So what I do, I try to condense it. There was somebody else who also worked on this, but we try to condense all the information services are available. So I literally actually, when I see homeless, I actually go up to them and hand them this information. And then at the same time, depending on what their needs are, especially in the wintertime, if they needed blankets, if they needed food, I would provide that. And then with the vets, I work in conjunction with the VA, and they have it called the VA Outreach Program. And this has been really quite successful. They really have taken a lot of the vets who were homeless, and they have gotten them housing, but they have a van. Let's say if I meet a vet that is out in the street, and a lot of vets, sometimes you meet on homeless, they've been to the VA or they haven't been to the VA yet, and they haven't been processed. So what I do is with the VA Outreach Program, we get them picked up by a van and taken to the VA to start the processing, so we get them into the housing. And so that is basically what I do. So, as I said, I work with both the homeless but to give you an idea how big this problem is, in Las Vegas, which I was totally surprised at. On a yearly basis, we're pretty close to 40,000 homeless. And then you've got another pretty close to 24,000 children. And these are mostly runaways, and that's on a yearly basis. And then you have families who are living in cars, and some of them are working, but they don't make enough money in order to get on their own as far as getting a rent or paying utilities. And then the vets too, that's a whole, it's I wish it was simple, but it's a lot more complicated. And I know for a lot of vets out there, getting processed sometimes may take a long time.
Right. And
so what I try to do is expedite that through some of the contacts that I have, and especially with the VA outreach program, we get them as processed as fast as we can. And so that population, as far as the homeless vets, has gotten a lot better. The homeless is it's a whole different situation. And we have a problem that is really starting to grow. It's starting to get kind of an epidemic. The number one, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. One of the number one problem, which a lot of people don't know with the homeless, even the vets too, is that IDs are stolen. And they can't prove who they are. And so it is, they can't get a job, they can't get a cell phone, they can't get, if they don't have any way of proving them, and they have to get a birth certificate, and that can be a pretty expensive ordeal. And so, the problem compounds itself. The other problem they're running into in the shelters is really we have bed bugs, we have mites, and that has just really become an epidemic. Like Salvation Army, I think, and I'm not totally sure on this, I've heard rumors, they may be closing their shelters. I know Catholic Charities will most likely stay open, and they give them, if somebody stays in a shelter, they will give them a can to spray on the bed to kill the bed bugs.
Well, as you were talking earlier, I actually do. I go down on every Monday night. We do a thing called Serving Hope, where we go down and we feed the homeless, and a lot of veterans that go through there actually say that also, that a lot of people have stolen their IDs, and they have to go out, find the money to go ahead and get those IDs all over again. Until that happens, they just are kind of thrown off to the side.
The VA, the vets have a little bit easier than a homeless person, and the reason for that, they can go to the VA, and if they have their, like a dog tag number, or if they have their name and they can look it up, and they can kind of verify that over a period of time. The homeless is a different ballgame, though.
Well, Chaplain, it sounds like you're doing a phenomenal job out there helping the homeless and the vets. I want to backtrack a little bit. You and I met in 2014. You were running for U.S. Congress in CD3, and I was running for judge. Obviously, neither of us made it. But what I would like to do is I would like to get some of your background. Like, how did you get to where you are now? What have you done in your life? Because you didn't really give us much. You talked a lot about what you're doing now, but I'd like to hear your background.
All right, my background, and I'm not going to go all the way back, but I'm a World War II baby. So there were a lot of us from that era. But anyway, I went through the normal channels. I went to school. I went to high school. I went to college. I taught for a number of years. Then I became a sales rep and worked for different companies on that end. And then when I came here to Las Vegas, I decided to run for Congress. And that's how I know her, because I do remember her face now.
And you said when you got to Las Vegas, when did you move to Las Vegas?
It's been about we're about 3.5 years now.
Okay, and where'd you come from?
Chicago.
Okay, so you moved here right before you put your name in the hat for U.S. Congress.
Yeah, about 6 months.
Okay, so you'd lived here for 6 months and you put your name in, and you were running against Joe Hack.
Uh-huh.
And I believe Aaron Bilbray was the Democratic candidate.
Yes, I ran as independent.
Okay, so you were on the November ballot then, I see.
Yes, I was.
Okay. So what made you come to Las Vegas from Chicago? Were you looking for a U.S. Congress seat to run in and just pick Nevada?
No, it all just kind of happened. But the reason for Las Vegas is that the Chicago weather, and I don't know if you've ever been in Chicago.
I have not, but this wind's killing me. So if it's anything like this, I'll skip it.
You take this wind and you add 0 to it, the temperature out there, or you get about maybe 24 inches of snow in one night. Mm-hmm. it got to me. And the older I'm getting, that I just couldn't handle the cold weather. And my wife was, she was kind of, this is pretty tough to be in Chicago. So we decided to look for somewhere where it's going to be warmer.
Mm-hmm.
And Las Vegas came up, or I actually kind of found it, and I found the cost of living to be quite good. We wanted to go back to California because we were there before that, but the cost of living has really gone up a lot.
Oh yeah. It's hard to live in California for sure, depending on what area particularly.
Yeah.
It can be very, very expensive. Now you're a chaplain, and you said that you're not affiliated with a particular church, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how long have you been a chaplain?
It's been about pretty close to a year now.
Okay, and what did you do to become a chaplain?
You go. It's just through Nevada chaplaincy. There's a training course that you go through, and you get your credentials, based on the training to become a chaplain. And then there's another course in order to get ordained. And I went through that, and then within about maybe 6 months, maybe a little longer than that, I became an ordained chaplain.
Okay, so that's what you're doing now, and you're working with the homeless and the vets.
I just want to inject one thing.
Yes.
When I ran for Congress,
Yes.
That's when I became aware of the homeless. When you go from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood, which you're really familiar with doing, and that's when I really became aware of the problem.
It is a huge problem. And did you attend the Veteran Stand Down in March?
Not this last time. No, I was busy doing some. There were some other vets that were really quite ill. I had to take care of it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't recall seeing either. I did one of the days. It was a 2-day Veteran Stand Down.
Right.
And I volunteered one of the days with Nevada Legal Services to provide information to our vets. A lot of times they just need some guidance, and they did have a great event where they provided food and some information.
Right.
So it would have been a great place for you to be to pass out your information sheets. Now, how do you identify individuals that could benefit from your services when you're working in Las Vegas? And I think you're centered in like downtown Las Vegas, where there is a huge homeless problem. But how do you identify those that actually could benefit from your services?
The way that I identify them is really just the way they appear. Secondly, they're walking. Because they don't have transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And, after a certain period of time, you kind of know who's homeless and who's not. And I literally drive in my car and drive down Boulder Highway or Main Street or Las Vegas Boulevard. And I just, and sometimes I get out of the car and I actually go, walking on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see who's homeless and who's not.
Now, today, you are dressed as a chaplain, and is that your normal attire? Is that what you wear when you go out and identify the homeless?
No, sometimes I wear this, and sometimes I wear the chaplain shirt.
Okay.
So it just depends. It just depends.
Now, the services that you're providing, they're faith-based services?
The services I provide are faith-based, but it's really the best way that I can put it. I don't push any kind of, actually I work with a lot of other people that are of different religions. So I work with, people that are, not only like Protestants I work with, Buddhists I work with, we're all working for the common good. And so, go ahead, you were going to ask something.
Oh, well, what about atheists? I mean, does someone have to believe in God in order to get services from you?
No, I have no, atheists are fine. That's okay.
Okay, so.
And I to be honest with you, there are those out there that tell me don't get near them.
Right, and I mean, it can be
And so what happens is that you get down to the core of humanity. And that's kind of my reward. There are times from eye-to-eye contact that you really get into another human being in a way that I've never felt before. And so you get down to a real level. You get down to humanity.
Yeah, and you were talking earlier, there's thousands of people that are
them with more money. I believe that each child is worth about $7,000, and when they're giving out $5,000 of that to the parents, they're actually making more money for less children. So the schools, in fact, are going to be better off with these ESAs. That's in theory how it's supposed to work. But
I'm not buying it. No. You know, I've got 4 kids that go to the school district here. They all go to public school, and I just can't see taking all the tax dollars that would go to their education to educate everyone and then put it into the private schools. And there's nothing that's going to stop the private schools from raising the tuition so they get extra money. And then you've got kids that the parents, they have the $5,000, and where are they going to go? The private schools are going to be so overcrowded. They can deny anyone based on race, religion, whatever they want. They're not going to be governed by the same standards as a public school. And then, kids with special needs. I think it's going to create a lot of problems, and it takes money out of the school district. And I think we need that money in our schools. So I actually am very against ESAs and vouchers altogether. Let's talk, I did a little research. I went on your website and I read how you stand on some of what you stated are important political issues. And you stated your number 5 was, does the bill enhance the power of parents and guardians to rear their own children without excessive interference from the government? That's your words,
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, when we go to a school and you put your kids in there, someone else has control over that. And what I really want to see is parents be more involved in that, because one of the big problems is you sound like a really active parent, but there's so many parents that are not active at all. So I want the parents to be involved, and I want them to partner with the schools more so that their children are actually getting the education they need, because there are so many different levels of education that each child is in, and one size doesn't fit all.
Okay. Now, from that statement, I would like to ask you, how do you feel about breastfeeding in public?
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. So you have no problem with it whatsoever?
No.
Okay. And, because there are some places where it's illegal to breastfeed in public.
And that's
or
crazy.
People, right. Exactly. Now, you also stated under that same, I think you have some of your issues that are numbered and some that are not. You talked about the commerce tax right underneath that. And I understand that you were against that. And that was something that our governor proposed, he's a Republican as well. And it was passed. We had a Republican majority in the assembly, and it passed.
Right.
Okay. So how do you feel about that? The fact that your counterparts, your Republican people that are Republican, that are in the assembly, that are in the Senate, they voted for this tax. How do you feel about that and those people?
It honestly hurts, because that was question 3 on the ballot, and overwhelmingly in this district, like 84% of the voters voted no.
Right.
And for these 42 people to turn around and say, we know better than you do, we're going to go ahead and pass it, it just means they don't care what we think. They literally do not care what the constituents think.
My name is Heidi Hanus, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. I recently opened my own practice under the name of Faith Individual and Family Counseling in the area of Summerlin. I have been practicing family therapy for 14 years, and I work well with individuals, children, teens, couples, and most of all, families. I have experience in a variety of areas, which include family conflict, communication issues, grief, anxiety, depression, anger issues, addiction, adjustment to life changes, trauma, and most forms of mood disorder. The agency work I have done has given me the experience to work with all levels of issues from severe to mild. I believe in change and positive outcome. If you are interested to begin change, you can reach me at 702-370-4244 or hanusa@cs.com. Thank you.
Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services have been serving Nevada. Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services, the reliable option for your legal and tax matters. The original do-it-yourself legal source store with paralegals, registered doc preparers, and enrolled agents to assist you when you need it. Need help getting divorced, starting your business, or just filing your taxes? Nevada Legal Forms is there for you. Nevada Legal Forms has over 1,000 legal forms and do-yourself kits for all your everyday matters. Nevada Legal Forms, the best place to start. Nevada Legal Forms and Tax Services is not a law office or have attorneys on staff and cannot give legal advice.
Nevada Legal Forms, Charleston and Valley View. Call 702-870-0977 or online at nevadalegalforms.com.
Hi, my name's Annette Levy. Did you know that we usually elect judges based solely on name recognition? So here goes. My name's Annette Levy. My name's Annette Levy. My name's Annette Levy. Now, for those of you who might want to know a little more, I have 29 years legal experience, 15 years arbitrator, 11 years judge pro tem. I'm ethical. I'm experienced. I want to be your district court judge in Department 20. And by the way, my name's Annette Levy.
Paid for by the Committee to Elect Annette Levy. If you'd like to know more, visit her website at electannette.com.
Paul Pata Law is a proud sponsor of Veterans in Politics. Attorney Paul Pata, a former federal prosecutor, is ready to fight for you. If you've been injured in a car accident, call Paul. Been a victim of a medical malpractice at the VA? Call Paul. Suffered a slip and fall? You better call Paul. Paul Pata Law, 702-366-1888. That's 702-366-1888. Or check us out on the web at paulpadda.com. That's paulpata.com. You fought for our country, now let us fight for you at Paul Pata Law.
Someone in the next stall who happens to have a penis and is using the bathroom, I don't give a crap. I really don't. And I would like you to take a look at this image.
But also, to back up, all these years, it wasn't an issue because if there was a man dressed as a woman, they were using the woman's restroom and nobody was having it a big deal. It's now, it's not the people that are dressed as the opposite sex. It's the one that clearly are different. And you're taking that small percentage to affect the great majority.
Clearly are different. Now, what do you mean by that? Because you know what? If my son decides tomorrow that he wants to start identifying as a girl and he doesn't feel comfortable using the boys' bathroom, I'm okay with that. So when you say now you're not talking about those that are dressed like a female, but those that are different. What do you mean those that are different?
You take your son and he's identifying as a woman and he now wants to go into the woman's bathroom. He's still, I'm assuming, dressed like a boy. Okay, because that's what you're saying. It's your son. You didn't say there was anything else.
I said if my son.
Right.
I would have no problem with it. I would have no problem with anyone using either bathroom. But now, so you're saying as long as they're dressed like the opposite gender, it's okay?
That's why this has never been an issue. This has been going on since before I was born, where there were transgendered people using opposite bathrooms. I've been in bathrooms with people that are dressed like women. Doesn't bother me. If there was an actual boy in there dressed as, or man dressed as a man, that would be just different.
Okay, but that's not what the laws that are being passed, the North Carolina law and whatnot. I mean, that's going to punish those that are dressed like the opposite sex. You can't say, oh, as long as you're dressed like you belong, then you can use the restroom. But if you're not dressed like you belong, I mean, what exactly? So it's okay if a transgender person uses the restroom next to you, but if they're dressed like a man, they can't. So they have a penis either way. I'm really having a hard time with this.
All right. Well, if a man dressed as a man walks into a bathroom and there's in a women's bathroom and there's 10 women in there, it's going to be very awkward for those 10 women and they'll probably leave.
Okay. So how do you suggest we police this or govern? I mean, this is serious. This was obviously an issue that you thought about and you put it on your website. What do you propose we do as far as laws and using the bathrooms?
Honestly, I don't think we need more laws. I think we just need common sense. If someone walks into a bathroom and they're a man and they walk in a woman's bathroom, I don't understand why it matters that all these years we didn't have laws and this has been happening. I'm sure they're going to make laws where everyone has to make either the whole unisex bathroom for everyone or we're going to have 4 sets of bathrooms. I don't know which way it's going to go, but we can't just govern or make laws to get ourselves out of this. We need to be decent people.
But it sounds like you want to make laws. You want to make laws that you have to identify as a female to use the female bathroom. You have to look like a female to use the female bathroom. And you know what does a female look like? I mean, if you have a female that dresses more boyish, maybe tomboyish, has short hair and dresses like a boy, are you saying that individual should not be able to use the woman's bathroom anymore because they look like they might be a boy?
No, I'm not going to ask.
Okay, so what is the issue? What is it that you would like to make happen?
I just didn't know it was such a big deal that they actually tried making laws.
Well, they have made laws.
Well,
North
in
Carolina,
Nevada. In Nevada last year they tried, and whatever they tried didn't pass. I'm just talking Nevada. I'm not talking about the U.S.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see less discrimination, and I would like to see everyone be able to feel comfortable and to be able to use the restroom. So I think we're going to wrap it up, and I appreciate you coming on.